Welcome to KramerTALK. It's a wonderful day. I have a special guest. So let's talk a little bit about what we're doing today. We bring together analysts, vendors, customers, industry leaders for conversations about a lot of different things. It could be ERP, supply chain, data, AI, the future of enterprise technology. But the focus is not necessarily on the product announcements, it's on the people, it's on the experiences. It's what we need to learn from these people, the industry insights. And we have today mindset expert Ricky Kalmon. He joins me to discuss transformation and what it's about people, processes, operations, plus the right mindset helps organizations navigate change, improve execution, and achieve lasting business outcomes. I've known Ricky for quite a long time. Ricky, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Robert, great to see you. Great to talk to you. We got a lot to cram in the short time here. But yeah, you and I go way back. We're not going to even going to digress because we want people to watch and listen to this and walk away with some value.
Thank you. So, for those who may not know your background, tell us a little bit about yourself and, like what makes you tick, why mindset, what performance means, and helping people navigate that change.
You know, Rob, my whole career started with showing people how to get out of their own way. Our mind can be our best friend or our worst enemy. And if I go even farther back, yes, I'm a hypnotist. If you Google me, you'll find all my credentials and what I've done in the past, from nationally known athletes to CEOs to the tech industry to pharma. It doesn't make a difference what industry you're in. Mindset matters in everything we do. So, in demonstrations and entertainment ways, I show people simple techniques that they can do immediately to enhance their success. And I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're a seasoned veteran or you're starting out in the business. Self-discovery never ends. And if you want to grow, you got to challenge yourself daily. And that's what I do. And I love doing it.
Well, what's interesting is I've seen you hypnotize people. I've seen you on ESPN. I've seen you, do things to people from a mind perspective. And organizations spend millions of dollars on ERP, AI, and transformation initiatives. Yet many still struggle to achieve their objectives. And why do you believe mindset is often overlooked in these projects? Because sometimes, I always refer to change as a significant piece, but it's not necessarily change. It's not technology. It's the organizational processes that I think are and the people that make up this what we're talking about. What do you think?
At 1000%, you are correct. Technology is always going to change. We will have great products and services, but that is driven by people. And
Yep.
sometimes people get in their own way.
Yep.
Fearful of change management, leadership that is stuck thinking one way and they don't think that there is a different way of doing things. And that's a mindset. So
Yep.
listen, you can have the greatest product and the greatest service, the greatest technology, but critical thinking is important. And that's where the human factor comes into play. So if you want to grow your business, you want to grow your client base and your reach itself, you got to tap into the human factor and you got to invest in people.
Yep. I've been doing ERP for quite a long time, and I hate to say how old I am, but I think that you're the same age as me, so I'll leave it alone. But at the same time, I've done
That's
a
a
lot of these.
mindset, by the way. That's a
Yeah.
mindset,
Well,
not a how old.
I still got the hair. I'm looking okay, and we'll see how it goes. But one of the things is implementations are looked at upon as just climbing a mountain, and I think it's in your experience, what's the biggest mental barriers? Because the climbing a mountain isn't what we want to think about it because the change creates opportunity, right? So the mental barrier that people face when organizations introduce some of these major changes, whether it's a new ERP, whether it's moving a couch, whether it's a new process, whether your wife got new dishes or a new way of working. I believe it's fear, uncertainty, resistance, and adoption. But why are they so adverse to change, and how do we help?
There's several ways of answering this. I think the biggest thing I'll start with this is that sometimes people need to release themselves from the familiar and
Yeah,
embrace the unfamiliar.
I
Change
love
is
that.
going to happen. And if you're fearful of change, it's because of a preconceived outcome that is dominating your thoughts. I think great leadership and great organizations and great cultures understand daily, if you will, small little training of mindset so you can reset and redirect to make sure that purpose is driven that day, not based on a preconceived outcome of fear of failure, fear of change. And you tip the hat. Change is an opportunity to grow.
But why do people not think that it's an opportunity? Because is it because of security of their job? Is it because it's
Get
with
comfortable.
it's what?
I think people get comfortable. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Rob, but
Yeah.
I think it just immediately when I thought about it, people like comfort sometimes.
Yeah.
It feels good.
But
And yet, I think that growth comes from getting, embracing the uncomfortable, you know? Um, it really, you have to embrace it. You have to get uncomfortable every single day, or you're going to be irrelevant. Somebody else is going to come into the space and pass you up.
isn't that
If you
horrible?
hesitate, you're too late.
But one of the things that we've talked about in the past is consumer behavior. I actually teach a class for the folks out in the audience. I'm a professor at a university. I've been doing it for about 10 years. Ricky's actually been a guest speaker a few times on in my classes, but consumer behavior, I believe, is a big animal in the room because of the fact that whatever decisions you make, whether it's buying a new desk, a car, or new ERP systems, or some type of transformation, your mindset deals with the consumer behavior because that's a trust. How does that weigh into all this? What do you think?
You make a really good point. We also buy from comfort,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
When we're
I do.
comfortable with something, we gravitate towards it. I mean, let's go even simpler. We sometimes we go out of our way to go to a restaurant that might not be the best restaurant in the world, but they make us feel so comfortable going
Yeah,
into it. We are part of their family. We're familiar. They know our names. They know what we like. We can
yep.
sit down, and sometimes they even bring our favorite cocktail before we even order. That is something that goes beyond just the product or service. Now, we also go to restaurants that are fantastic food. Yes, I get
Yep,
that.
of course.
I think again, people forget about the extra edge that they can add by creating a programming of mindset.
Yeah,
And where I dive into it is in your space as well. Um, you have to understand that there are unconscious, bear with me for a second, we are unconscious of being unconscious, meaning we make decisions a lot of the time throughout the day without even thinking about it,
yeah,
based on an unconscious programming. So software changes and we gravitate towards the new software if we know it's going to make our life better, right? We will take full advantage of getting the newest update in a software platform because we know it's going to be more efficient. My question to leaders and organizations and cultures: how often do you update the most powerful software you have? And that is your mindset. Because sometimes the unconscious direction is taken to us to a place that we don't realize. Going back to your original question, why don't people do things? Why are they fearful of change? Why are they fearful of management? Because of an unconscious belief that maybe isn't serving them well now.
yeah. I think that you said it straight. I mean, how many people do we know that are outgoing or extrovert versus introvert or in the middle? So knowing what your team is, that will kind of help you with how well they're going to adapt to change, right? And I don't think that's even a consideration because you get an email from the CTO, the CIO saying, "Hey, we're doing this, and this is what you should expect," but no recognition on what the resources can and can't do. But we're asking them to change, but not asking if they can change. So technology projects, excuse me, often focus on systems, budgets, timelines, and processes, right? But so going back to what I started this question, what role do those leaders have to do from a communication perspective and a mindset play to help the people embrace this change so they don't resist it. Because 75%, I believe it is, of ERP transformations do fail, and it's because of a lot of reasons, but this could be one of them. What are your thoughts on that?
A lot of organizations bring me in, and we start at the top. We start with
Yeah.
top leaders because those are the ones that make a difference. When they set an example and lead within themselves better,
Yep.
it's very easy for others to follow. If leadership is fearful of change, if they're having trouble with this transition or they're concerned, it shows.
Yeah.
Why should people trust leadership if they don't buy into it themselves? And if they're not leading a better organization? And so, yeah, if I hear this all the time, secretly I hear, hey, listen, my leadership seems a little stressed out. They're a little unsure of things. They're a little fearful of what's about to happen, but they're pushing it on us. Well, you got to start at the top. Help lead great leadership. It trickles down all the way. People are going to follow.
Well, it's interesting because, deviating from my questions I have here, you came into when I was global head of marketing for the manufacturing industry at Atos, and you came and you talked to, I don't know, it was 1,000, 2,000 people, and we went through something similar. And what came out of that was a lot of people reached out to you individually, or even me, saying, because you have a book series, which we don't have to bring up right now, but they wanted more information because they were feeling I think at a level where they weren't comfortable, or they weren't able to be themselves, or they needed help developing how they can, embrace these changes. And I think that many people don't speak up. So how do you deal with that?
All right. You bring up a really good point, Robert. Most individuals will not admit they have stress.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Oh, of
Because if
course.
you admit you are stressed out or you feel burnt out, that shows that you're not capable of fulfilling a task or fulfilling a project or handling something big. And if you say that you're stressed out to somebody, and I'm not saying you shouldn't confess to people or talk to people, but most people just don't do it because they're fearful of showing that they're not capable of fulfilling the
Yeah.
job.
Yep.
So what we do is we tackle things on a couple levels here. Why wait to motivate when things are rough and tough? You
Hmm.
should be doing this on a daily basis because motivation can fade, but mindset sticks. And if you train your brain like an athlete would train their muscles on a daily basis, then you're able to handle things differently. So,
Yep.
going back to what you said, yes, when I do programs, I get so many requests from individuals that say, listen, this really resonates. This really talked to me. You really hit a spot here. I would love to dive into your program on a personal level because I know if I lead myself better, I will show up better. I
Yeah.
will work harder. I will be more productive, more persuasive, more passionate with purpose and drive. So there is something special about an organization that understands
Yeah.
when you invest in an organization, not on the products or the technology, you're investing in people. Because
Well,
nobody really wants to replace people. They want to create a culture where people want to thrive, not survive. So
good
when you
points.
invest you when you invest in leadership on a high level to help them on a personal and professional level and mindset, boy, the possibilities, Robert, are unlimited. They
But
truly are. Let me
but
leave
don't
you
you
with this.
go ahead.
Great athletes, phenomenal athletes, spend years and lifetimes in training muscles to create muscle memory. But the ones that we admire the most, the winners, understand the mental game.
A really good point. But we look at sports, we look at education, we look at manufacturing, we look at technology. When the leaders of those organizations are investing in their resources, their personnel, their people that work for them, I think the people are willing to go outside of the box. When they don't go outside, when they're not doing that, and then there's change, I think the people that are those are the introverts, as we talked about 10 minutes ago, really kind of go into backwards way. Is that something that is a topic, or is it just something that is just a normal part of an organization or sports or scholastics or whatever?
I think it depends on the organization, but I think that there's talent out there that can be refined all the time. And I think whether it is top leadership or somebody just coming into the organization, and I think that you really do you empower people,
Yeah.
and that's the key because it is let's okay. So here's the thing, Rob. There are a lot of companies that use this word. We have a great culture. Culture is just part of our vocabulary, right? That's just a word unless you implement it. Culture is driven by investing and repeating an action that aligns with the company's values, and you do that enough every single day, that creates culture. So whatever you repeat creates culture, not some tagline that you use in a checkbox or part of a mission plan. We have a great culture. Well, what does that mean? You have to dive into that. You got to dive more into the understanding of culture is a programming by repetitive action. And that could be
So,
good or bad.
well, of course. So, and that was kind of my question. You kind of took half of it into your answer. We'll kind of go through as organizations adopt AI. You've heard of AI lately, right?
Mhm.
It's
What is
the
that?
latest and greatest of everything that that every any tool that could be used well, that's the one. So as companies adopt AI, as individuals adopt AI, automation, there's new ways of working, and that's a big deal. And AI has been fantastic for that. So what advice, because we talk about the culture, gives would you give a business and the technology leaders in that business to help create that culture that is adaptable, resilient, and prepares for continuous change? Because I'm not sure it's that easily doable, because we're asking these resources to change the way that they're working, to adopt new technology, to be more strategic, and to do what the company needs them to do so they can be more productive and efficient and make more, um, be more financially successful. So the employees need to understand what their win is, except for a job.
Okay. So I'm gonna turn this. I'm gonna ask the question. Okay. Robert, what do you hear in your industry in ERP that AI is causing? What is the problem that you're hearing?
I think that most of the companies fear change, and they fear the implementation of AI is there's agents within ERP that take on tasks to execute these tasks, and then the resources that were doing those tasks are now more strategic. So the roles have shifted, and the people that were doing those tasks are fearful of their job. They need to be trained to be strategic to manage those agents, and at the
Boom.
same time, the company, the people that are managing all of that need to make sure that the agents are performing the task at hand because the data was good.
Right. People don't think that way because they're already thinking about the fear that it's causing.
Yeah.
What they if they could step back, and this might be for you, might be for somebody else. Critical thinking is the power here that's
Yeah.
still needed. And
Yep.
the human factor doesn't think of that. They think about, "Oh, my job. Oh, it's gonna take
Yep.
over. I've this is what I'm good at, and now AI is taking over, and it's going to replace me."
Yep.
If
That's
you're
what they're
good at
thinking.
one thing, are you gonna tell me that's the only thing you're good at?
Right.
No. You already got if you have the job, you have the credentials, you have the purpose, let's enhance your talent and your critical thinking. That's what we need. We need the human factor to realize that critical thinking is the key here and that AI is going to be your best friend, not your enemy.
And that's a great point, because I think in every industry and everything that we're doing, AI is being implemented, and it can be your friend. So everybody, I feel like they have to get on board in some way or fashion. You don't have to go to 0 to 100 to use it overnight, but to understand that using it 0 to 1 and what your change methodology personally and professionally might look like, I think would be a positive step forward. So if you
Absolutely.
if you were going to walk into an ERP implementation that was already struggling, because that could be a possibility, what is the first signs that you would look for, that the problem is not the technology, but the mindset of the organization?
Usually when we go in, without going into depth of the whole program, I usually walk in and get people to pause, step back from the situation, assess it, sit in the audience and observe their own patterns and habits and figure out, are they serving you, or are they holding you back? And we talk about, you and I have had in-depth conversations about change management.
Yep.
The biggest problem with change management, I believe, is that the old programming isn't, isn't replaced. Your old reactions, think about that. Your reactions to a sentence, phrase, thought, or trigger word might not be serving you, might be holding you back in your talent. So
Yes.
let's dive back in. Let's step back. Let's hit the pause button is one of the first things we do. And we start to talk about why you have a fear. Why is there a preconceived outcome? Why are you so unconscious of the unconscious thoughts? And then you start to realize this is a software program that just needs to be updated, just like AI is updating. And when AI starts to learn new things, you start to learn new things.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing outside of talking to me today, the books, the kind of the software you're developing, just in a quick summary, because I think it's pretty fascinating, the scope of what you handle and the direction you're going with your mindset, because I think it's a very smart way to go. Thank you.
Well, going back, thank you, Robert. Going back to the original conversation or the start of the conversation, I help people get out of their own way. And it starts with a simple question. I'm going to ask you the question: could you, is it possible to be a better version of you? Is there a better version of you?
I hope so. I've been looking around for a while, but you know.
Well, I'm going to show you that it's always there. And this isn't a lot of fluff. This isn't quick motivation. It's not cheerleading. It's practical tools. And if you repeat it, you create resilience, and you create fortitude, you create growth. And everybody has talent. And I love to tap into more talent. So what I show people to do in my books and my seminars and my coaching is literally, this is not as hard as you think. It's not going to take a lot. And if you implement these strategies every single day, I'm going to give you one right now. I'm going to give away one of the simplest things in the world. You and I showed up today to record this program for you, right? It was on our calendar, right? Simple stuff.
Absolutely.
We showed up. It was an invite. Everybody lives by their invites and their calendars these days. No more written notes on a chalkboard. When was the last time you set an invite for you and only you to do nothing but sit and breathe?
Probably never.
Okay. Start today. When we're done recording, Robert, and anybody listening, put an invite for 10 minutes for you. Nothing else to do. Just sit there for 10 minutes and just breathe. Do that every day. Repeat it every day. And if you say, well, I don't have time, sorry, you do. Because if I audited the average person, how often they pick up their phone as a mere distraction to look up something that literally was just to clear their head, was a mere distraction. It wasn't really that productive. 10 minutes a day, repeat it every day, non-negotiable, not 9 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night, doesn't make a difference. You can change the time. Just repeat that every day. Start with that simple principle. If you get that, you understand it. And after 10 minutes, you go, you know what? I feel pretty good. I slowed down. By the way, if you haven't realized, you did hit the pause button. You did start to get clear of some intentions. You start to realize what's important. You become more grateful, more appreciative. We create a different attitude and start to realize, listen, just need to slow down. Start with that. That's what I show people to do. So check out my stuff. You appreciate it.
Ricky Kalmon, Robert Kramer, KramerTALK. Look for us every week. Coming soon. More to come. Thank you very much, Ricky. Love seeing you.